Can Clint Barton Hawkeye do the impossible and reform the formerly villainous Thunderbolts team? Well, let's hop into the pages of Thunderbolts issue number 1, a brand new series from Jim Zub that seeks to answer all these and more questions. Now, before we move ahead there, in the effort of full transparency, I did actually receive an early copy of this book from Zub and Marvel. But because of scheduling conflicts on the channel, I'm only actually covering the book now, and also because I waited so long, I forgot they sent me a copy and ended up buying a physical one anyway. Oops. Now, with all that aside, as we join the book, we check back on in with Clint Barton, Hawkeye. He's down on his luck right now, as he normally is, and he's currently trying to get back into the superhero game by calling up Wonder Man. The hope is that after the events of Hawkeye Freefall, Clint's last solo miniseries, that he could maybe put a wide breath between himself and the rest of the Avengers in New York and maybe go back to the West Coast and restart the West Coast Avengers. Unfortunately, all of his old teammates seem to be super busy and giving him the runaround. It's a good thing then that Clint ends up getting a call from the brand new Mayor Luke Cage. You'll remember at the end of Devil's Reign, Luke had wanted to try and re-establish the Thunderbolts, and this issue actually jumps around in time, seeing Clint taking that first meeting and eventually leading his new team on their first mission. First and foremost, I gotta take my hat off to Jim Zub for once again really painting a great picture with continuity. If you remember at the end of Devil's Reign, Luke Cage had worked hard to try and undo everything Mayor Wilson Fisk did regarding outlawing superheroes in New York. Sadly, like a lot of first-term politicians, Luke's hands are tied, and technically no superhero is legally allowed to operate in New York except for the members of the Thunderbolts, mainly because Kingpin was using them as his own personal supervillain army. Now, Mayor Luke hopes to use this legal loophole to reform a brand new heroic group of Thunderbolts members to maybe even try and redeem the team's name in the public eye. And to do this, he's hired a whole consulting firm who have a whole multi-angled new rollout planned for the Thunderbolts initiative. In fact, it's the firm who seems to be in much more control than Clint right now. They get to pick the members of the team and even go as far as to try and bring back the Thunderbolts' old tagline catchphrase of "justice like lightning." To which even a guy like Hawkeye, who is shown to not usually be that smart, even he manages to poke holes in this idea. Wait, thunder and lightning are two different things. Why is that our catchphrase? Now, who actually did make the cut for this brand new Thunderbolts team? Well, we get to meet them all individually as we see them try and pull off that first mission, which, get this, they have to stop the old villainous Thunderbolts members who have broken out of jail. First off, there's America Chavez, who the image consultants say is testing really well in New York's Latino market right now. Why, yes indeed, this is a comic that you can totally read as a meta-commentary on the comic industry and how certain books get put together. America ends up holding herself really well in a fight against Taskmaster, who hilariously enough, as he escaped from jail, doesn't have access to his old costume, so he's just kind of jerry-rigged one together with stuff he can find. Taskmaster also clearly doesn't understand America Chavez's gimmick and just assumes that she must be part of the bigger Captain America legacy and that he should be able to fight her because he knows enough about shields, right? Next up, we have the second Power Man, who we discover was actually a pick from Mayor Luke himself. He always thought that Victor Alvarez had a lot of potential, and well, because he was the first Power Man, he doesn't like seeing the name collect dust for long. Then, of course, we have some much less familiar faces like the gun-toting cyborg who goes by the code name Gutsen Glory. What's his deal? Well, he's a man of mystery, and the image consultants thought that that would be a good thing for the team because market research shows that mystery really drives engagement. One thing's for sure, though, Gutsen is plenty tough as he's able to take down a rampaging abomination basically on his own. Perhaps my favorite and most unexpected addition to the team, though, is Kara Kilgrave, formerly the Purple Daughter, but now going by the brand new superheroic moniker Persuasion. She proves that she's a great addition to any team as she's able to persuade the Abomination to basically just punch himself in the junk over and over again. We also discover quite early on in this issue that she happens to be a Yankees fan. Well, I mean, you know, she does have supervillainous genes in her. Of course she would root for the Yankees, you know, the team that's always supposed to win. Now you might be thinking to yourself, yep, those are definitely all the evil Thunderbolts from Devil's Reign, minus one John Walker, aka U.S. Agent. The eternally turncoating black sheep of the Captain America mantle. Clint is super invested in getting to go and kick his ass because, well, these two have years worth of bad blood. Though, as we find out later, John, as is par for the course, had actually basically turncoated on the evil Thunderbolts team and was actually working with the FBI to try and bring them down from the inside and assumedly save himself. Seriously, US Agent is the frickin' big show of Marvel's superheroes. This guy cannot keep the same alignment for longer than 5 minutes. Now, so far, Hawkeye actually likes his brand new team. He thinks that they cover a lot of the bases you need when going into a super fight like this, but he says that they need an energy person. You know, someone who can fly and blast and everything, and when the female Electro ends up giving them more trouble than they bargained for, it's actually Monica Rambeau Spectrum who ends up swooping on in to make the save. This is actually a really interesting revelation, because if you read the special prelude issue over in that Devil's Reign special finale issue, then you'll remember that Mayor Luke had actually wanted Spectrum to lead this new version of Thunderbolts, but she ultimately turned him down, saying that it was going to be way too much pressure and way too much focus on her. Still though, the fact that she's willing to come back and help at all shows that she's at least a little bit interested in what Mayor Luke and Clint are doing. Granted, at the same time, they better be careful that Hawkeye doesn't find out that he wasn't even the 5th choice to lead the team, or else you'll probably end up pretty damn sad and heartbroken, which will be hard to see as the reader. Now, after their first mission concludes, the team takes some time off to decompress, and we see that not all is well in the land of the Thunderbolts right now. In fact, they got a bunch of little problems that are probably going to turn into big problems sooner rather than later, like the fact that Gutsen Glory can't actually seem to control his cyborg body, or that America Chavez, you may very well have noticed, wasn't actually using her trademark portal travel powers, mainly because, well, she can't seem to activate it anymore without actively making herself sick. But perhaps the biggest lingering threat, though, actually belongs to Hawkeye himself. We see that he's looking in the mirror only for some sort of terrifying demonic face to look back at him, implying that he's been compromised and doesn't even know it. And so that was Thunderbolts issue number 1, everybody, and while I am most certainly the most easy lay in the world for this sort of material, I thought they did a really good job setting the stage for things to come. Zub, as you may or may not remember, has written a number of criminally underrated team books already, most of which ended up getting cancelled before their time. In fact, this is actually his 2nd time getting to write the Thunderbolts, and I can tell he's treating it as a kind of redemption of sorts, not just for the characters in the story, but for him himself getting to come back to it all this time later. In interviews, Zub had actually pitched this new series as Ted Lasso by way of the Marvel Universe, and I can certainly see it. Clint is just a lovable, dumb guy trying to do his best. Mayor Luke is an overworked boss keeping a dark secret that's probably gonna break the heart of this guy, who we as the reader have already come to really sympathize with. All the different team members come with their own demons and issues that are no doubt going to need to be resolved over the course of the series, and I think the actual team composition is pretty solid too, with a lot of nice representatives from across the Marvel comic landscape. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a very positive 8.5 out of 10. It's just a good time from start to finish, with a lot of cult favorite characters who never get the spotlight, and well, that's just what Thunderbolts has always been made for in my mind.
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.